What is up, guys? I hope everybody's having a great day today. Welcome back to Martin Chats. Okay, so today I have prepared a short but lengthy list of different comic book series I wish I could reread for the first time all over again. I got this idea from Dominic over at the Comic Book Report. So I hope you guys enjoy this list. I hope you enjoy this video. Give me a like and subscribe if you're new here. And without further ado, let's get into it. All right, kicking things off, we got Arkham Knight Genesis. This is a prequel miniseries to Batman Arkham Knight that dives deep into the psychology and origins of this universe's Jason Todd. And oh my God, man, I love this series. Number one, these books really enhance the game's story and builds the drama of the video game. I'll never forget when I read this for the first time in the summer of 2015. I picked all 6 issues up from vintage stock and I was hooked. The artwork is amazing. The way it's drawn, the colors they use, the way the characters are designed. This feels like the Arkham universe. This feels like Arkham Gotham. I could honestly talk about this all day. This could be a video within itself. My favorite issue is number 6. It's gorgeous. And I like seeing, what I really loved seeing were the plans, the build-up, the Arkham Knight working with Deathstroke, what they were doing in the months that led up to the video game. This is a mixture between Jason Todd's backstory since he was a kid and becoming Robin, and the months leading up to the events of Batman Arkham Knight, the video game. Reading this, seeing exactly what happened to Jason when Joker had him in the asylum, filming him, letting the other inmates beat and torture him, it's dark, it's crazy. When I replay the Arkham games, I always think about these comics every time. When you're fighting Joker on the rooftop of the asylum, Jason was making his escape with Deathstroke in a chopper. When Clayface Joker was about to kill you in Arkham City, Jason Todd was nearby watching it. So it's so cool how these books just enhance the video games and their stories. Arkham Knight is one of the best video games ever made, and the preludes to it fit perfectly. Out of all the prequel Arkham video game comics, Arkham Knight Genesis is the best. And in my opinion, the artists should have did the artwork for every comic in the Arkham universe. Cause this, oh no. But this, oh yeah. Next up on today's list, we got Daredevil, Frank Miller's Man Without Fear. This, for me, was the beginning of a love for Daredevil. My first real exposure was the Ben Affleck movie when I was a little kid, but I really got into the Netflix series in 2015. This show drew me to the comics, and I picked up Man Without Fear, the complete set, and the first time I read it, I was amazed. It felt like the Netflix series, to me, it felt like they took the pages and the concept, tweaked them, and then put them on screen. Reading this, still to this day, I hear the voices of Charlie Cox and Eldon Henson. I hear Scott Glenn as Stick, especially. And something about Frank Miller's artwork always takes me back to the early 2000s growing up. It's just a vibe to it that I can't really explain. But this, to me, is the blueprints and foundation for the Netflix series. It's an origin story, which is what season 1 of the show was, and it's a great experience and deep dive into the life of Matt Murdock and his relationships and viewpoints of the world. Next up, we got Aliens: Dead Orbit. Oh my God. This one, let me tell y'all, this one is a lost horror, disgusting masterpiece. In this story, we follow an engineering officer named Wazalewski who's part of a small crew that's on a secluded space station that soon comes into contact with a broken down spaceship and its cryogenically frozen crew members. We don't get much backstory in this, but it's clear the crew was impregnated by xenomorphs, and before long, they wreak havoc on this ship. Y'all, I cannot stress to y'all how good this story is. I'm trying not to simp over it. This is a perfect encapsulation of terror, and it perfectly brings the film horror into comic book panels. Why do I wish I could reread this for the first time? Because it's captivating. It's like when you watch a scary movie for the first time. The tension you feel, the fear you feel, the anticipation, everything, you can never get that back on the second or third watch. You know what I mean? It's like it's something different the first time you're experiencing it. I was watching alien movies as a little kid. I'm talking 8, 9 years old, and I loved it. I loved them. I was never scared watching these movies. I thought the xenomorphs were disgusting. I remember I threw up over it one time when I was eating some fried chicken, but overall, very entertaining. I love them. I love the movies still to this day. And one of the interesting things is what makes these stories, even the comics, what makes them unique is in this horror franchise, no one is having sex. This isn't your typical horror story. There's very little comedy, if any. It's non-stop tension, loneliness, and just overwhelming sense of emptiness. Even in the book, like for instance, we see the literal void of space. When Wazalewski is sitting by the window, there's no stars in the sky. It's not just miles of darkness, cold, empty, lonely darkness. And that's just like how the first movie was back in 1979. It was just empty, loneliness, and quiet. I love this book, really. You can tell that the artwork was manga inspired. It's detailed, it's vibrant, but at the same time, not overwhelming. And it's not complicated. It's a very simplistic story. It's a survival horror story. That's all it is. And you can see the dread and horror as characters are picked off one by one, as pages are wordless and very claustrophobic, bloody, cringy and crazy. This is one of the best horror comics I've ever read. If you like the Ridley Scott Alien trilogy, if you like horror stories in general, I'd highly recommend Aliens Dead Orbit. And we're going from darkness to lighthearted fun with this one. One of the most underrated characters ever, Howard the Duck. First of all, I don't care what anyone has to say. I love the 1986 movie. Still to this day, I love it. And the 2015 series is something you never even knew you needed. See, reading this for the first time, I was surprised how many other characters made cameos in this. From Spider-Man to She-Hulk to the Guardians, almost everybody was in this. I've said it before and I'll say it again. This should be a Disney Plus series. When you read this book, it's like, first of all these characters are already in the MCU for the most part, but Howard the Duck, I don't know why they're not tapping into this. It's weird, it's witty, it's everything. It has that same late afternoon vibe the movie had. I just remember how interested and entertained I was reading this for the first time. Each page will have you laughing. This duck got sued by Luke Cage. Luke Cage sued a duck. I don't know why this is not a TV series. A Howard the Duck TV show based on this 2015 series would save the MCU, literally. The artwork is lighthearted, the stories get emotional sometimes with Howard thinking about Beverly. There's not enough good things I can say about it. Howard the Duck is a must read. And finally, we got Ultimate Spider-Man. Yo, I love Ultimate Spider-Man. I'm gonna get a little nostalgic on y'all for a second here. With this series, I wish I could reread it in the time that I first read it, which was like 2008. I was young. I was like in second grade. Growing up in the early 2000s, I was playing video games like Grand Theft Auto, San Andreas, Resident Evil 4, oh my God, Crash Bandicoot, and The Wrath of Cortex. I was watching movies like Daredevil, the 2004 Punisher movie. Saturdays were spent like that, watching The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, The Batman on Kids WB, playing Donkey Kong Country on the Super Nintendo we had, and then Arkham Asylum late at night. This was, for me, the golden years. And yes, of course, reading Ultimate Spider-Man. First of all, look at the front covers of the books. It looks like PS2 video games. This is literally what got me into Spider-Man. My dad had these books along with 500 other comic books in a huge green folder, I'll never forget it, under a desk in our basement. Spider-Man, I like him, but he's never been a favorite of mine, even in Marvel. Still to this day, I haven't seen the Andrew Garfield movies. But Ultimate Spider-Man, that's one of my favorite series of all time. It's a large, self-contained story, unburdened by canon, that focuses on Peter Parker's life. Some stories are dark, some emotional, some funny, some are like, holy shit, what is happening right now? I'll never forget reading this series back in the early 2000s. Everything was different, and anytime anyone is looking into getting into the Spider-Man comics, I always recommend Ultimate Spider-Man. It's one of, if not the best Marvel series there is. It's very character driven, not plot driven, with characters who are very fleshed out. Aunt May went into therapy after Ben died. We see the ups and downs of Peter's relationship with MJ. Everything is slow paced and it feels real. Characters have real, actual personality. The city feels alive. It's a perfect run. I like the movies. I love Tom Holland's trilogy, but none of them even come close to this run. The books continually critiqued society, the fake news media, gutless politicians, the corruption of the rich and powerful, abusive parents. The stories were mature, they were fantastic. I decided to save the best for last with that one. Guys, this was my list of the different comic book series I wish I could reread for the first time all over again. I hope you enjoyed this video. Kind of lengthy, like I said. I wanted to include more, and I think I will make a part 2 to this because this video was really fun. There were so many more books that I wanted to talk about that for time purposes, I didn't fit into this one. But I'm definitely 100% gonna make a part 2 to this. So I hope you stay tuned for that. If you like this list, you know, if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.